What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, prenoon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Charlie Kirk carrier of the Flame broadcast coming to you live once again from somewhat gloomy and very fiery California, Los Angeles, folks, West Hollywood. And I hope everyone's having a fantastic one on this beautiful Thursday morning. Check out this. Speaking of,
Richie Torres, I know you won tonight. I didn't even look at your race. You probably won, you piece of shit. Remember, I was coming for you, but you got lucky this time. But I'll see you in two. I'll see you in two, motherfucker. I know you stopped talking shit. I know you stopped talking about Israel, Richie Torres. What happened? I'll see you in 2 years, motherfucker.
Why is Hassan Piker talking like Suge Knight? Why y'all got Hassan Piker moving like Suge Knight? And this is why I told y'all. Oh, people be like, oh, we need Joe Rogan to the left. We need Joe Rogan. Work with what you got. You're looking at him right in front of you. That's Hassan Piker after what? 9 of his endorsed candidates won the primaries? Then with the left, you got to work with what you got. I have critiques of Hassan Piker. I think certain times, I don't think he really truly grasps certain race relation stuffs well, but I think he's open to learning. That's one thing I give Hassan. You know what I'm saying? We be critical here and there, but overall, I do find it suspicious, brothers and sisters, that I got establishment Democrats and Republicans teaming up to agree on one thing, and that's to get rid of Hassan Piker. You know, another thing them folks agree on is keeping that boot on our neck, keeping prices high, funding wars. So ask me to pick a side, I'll go ahead and pick the Hassan Piker side. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, Richie Torres, brother, I would watch my back. Seems Hassan Piker's really angry with you, brother.
it's so funny that Richie Torres low-key was part of the reason why I wanted to get more involved in local elections, and then my attention was unfortunately shifted elsewhere where there was a lot of high impact opportunities. I think one of the inroads that the Democratic Socialists of America has to make with its organizing, obviously, is in predominantly black and brown neighborhoods, but especially black neighborhoods. These are some of the most underserved communities. Richie Torres is in the poorest district in the country, and it doesn't take much to win those races, honestly. But beyond that, I think that we as a movement need to do much better as far as aiding and abetting and helping these communities. Or working class communities are very poor. Richie Torres is not that guy. But maybe this fire that is lit under his ass for the next 2 years will force him to be that guy. By the end of the next 2-year process, Richie Torres is going to be like the biggest anti-Israel voice in Congress. It is really funny, though. It is really funny that he just kind of dropped everything. He just dropped everything. He was like Israel's strongest warrior. He was straight up Israel's strongest motherfucking warrior for the longest time in Congress. If you remember, he tried to get me deplatformed right before the election. And then out of nowhere, he just was noticeably absent from the conversation around Israel for some weird reason. I don't know why. Because he spent every waking moment leading up to the general, pumping Israel, constantly talking about Israel, constantly defending Israel in the poorest district. Them Hosber checks started bouncing? No, I don't think so. Hosber checks never bounce, buddy. They never bounce. You crazy? It's the one check that does not bounce. We'll, of course, be talking about Mallory MCMORROW, who apparently is talking about me, your boy. I did an interview with Detroit Public Radio. They asked me to do it. I was like, you know what? Of course I'll do it. Turns out it paid dividends. It turns out it backfired on me a little bit because it caused Mallory MCMORROW, Abdul El-Sayed's opponent in the Senate run in the Democratic primary, to straight up say heinous things about me. She just straight up was like, Hassan and Abdul, Muslims, synagogue attack, also done by a Muslim. I rest my case. Shit was wild. It's wild to watch because, like, I'm expecting that from Republicans, but I'm not. I still get shocked a little bit when I see like a relatively progressive white woman who's like presenting herself as a progressive going on CNN and being like, well, you know, my opponent, his name is Abdul El Sayed. His friend's name is Hasan Piker. You know, both Muslims. Put two and two together, ma'am. And it's like, okay. I mean, the thing is, if you're a Republican and you're hitting that line, well, you shouldn't probably do that in Michigan regardless. But like, if you're a Republican and you're hitting that line, it's expected. But if you're a Democrat, and not just like any kind of Democrat, but a Democrat that's trying to like make herself be known as like somewhat of a more appropriate, more acceptable progressive in the progressive lane in the Democratic primary, that's a landmine you're stepping on for no reason. You know, you're polluting the airwaves. You're making things worse for yourself. It's just strange choice. It's very bad instincts. I say this as someone, look, I say this as someone who obviously eats it quite a bit. I say this as someone who's used to, you know, being called a terrorist. It's all I get called, honestly. It's strange to watch her in this like panic state and all this desperation, double down, triple down, when the question presented to her was, don't you think it backfired on you that you just like decided to smear your opponent's ally as a terrorist? And yeah, if you're black or brown, like they talk this way about Muslims, they're talking this way about you too behind closed doors. Maybe they're not saying it. Maybe they're not saying it out loud in public, right? They're not going to say that about black people on CNN, but they're certainly thinking it. There's no shot. She says she stands on racially motivated business. Yeah. There's pressure now coming in the direction of Mallory McMorrow to drop out. I don't think she should. She's my queen. And as my queen, you know, we need to hear from swagged out and maybe a little quirked up, kind of pro-Israel, kind of ambiguously not pro-Israel voices that could potentially eat away from the Haley Stevens base. Let's start with hearing from female voices in Congress, okay? Voices that are running for office here. Let's take a look.
He's been endorsed by Hasan Piker, who has millions of followers on social media, mainly people under the age of 30. I mention this because he is a very controversial figure. And in March, you compared him to white supremacist Nick Fuentes. Now, Piker spoke to Detroit Public Radio about that yesterday.
So people can come to me directly and figure out what I'm actually about. So that was one of the reasons why that smear campaign failed spectacularly. People started looking at Abdul's campaign. People started hearing what he was saying, and they liked it. And lo and behold, he was in third place before this smear campaign started, and now he's comfortably in first place.
My opponent made a decision to bring in Hasan shortly after there was an attack on a synagogue here in Michigan where a man drove.
I'm going to repeat this one more time. Tying me to an anti-Semitic hate crime is one of the more insane things I've heard from like who is otherwise supposed to be like a progressive Democrat. Notice how she's trying to get the attention of her producer.
Pickup truck into a synagogue where 140 preschoolers were at school that day. And had it not been for the security measures, the bollards in place, it could have been the largest.
Wait, why does she wave to her producer? She's like, get me off camera. This is crazy. She's like, I don't want to be a part of this. She's talking like a Klansman. She's like, this could be a lawsuit style situation. Can you please get me off camera?
At school that day. And had it not been for the security measures, the bollards in place, it could have been the largest mass killing of kids in this country's history. And to bring somebody in to represent your campaign, in my mind, is a very different decision than going on somebody's stream and talking to their audience.
Why? McMorrow also later said you're not anti-Semitic after saying you were the Nick Fuentes of the left. No real convictions, total fraud. Yeah, that's what's so funny. Here's what's so funny about these people that are trying to find like a moderate lane, a moderate progressive lane, right? They can't even get on board with like a smear campaign. They can't even do that appropriately. Like, pick a side. If you're gonna go unhinged with it, you on the one hand can't imply that I am responsible for an anti-Semitic hate crime at a synagogue, and then also on the other hand turn around and be like, but he's not racist. Like, if you're gonna lie in one direction. They're so wishy-washy. They can't even fucking do the lie appropriately. It blows my fucking mind. I will say, though, I expect stuff like this from Haley Stevens. Maybe I'm too naive, but I did not expect this level of racial agitation from Mallory McMorrow, once again, who is like trying to occupy the relatively somewhat more progressive, but not super progressive lane. And I don't even think she knows what she's doing. I think she doesn't realize how fucking racist this comes across as, because Islamophobia is so super normalized. Producer legit said cut her off. Then she points going, no, I'll let her finish her point. Source, background in live TV.
I believe in freedom of speech. People should be able to say and do whatever they want. But we have a very diverse population here in Michigan. We have the largest Arab American population in the country alongside a very significant Jewish population. And we need to keep everybody together, not just to win, but to govern and to represent this state appropriately.
Hearing reporting about you having very soft numbers with Black voters, hearing.
Yeah, I wonder why. This kind of plays into that, no? The reason why Mallory McMorrow has found herself in the Pete Buttigieg slot is because she does stuff like this. I mean, this is like a insanely racist attack. It's just terror jacketing. It's fairly Islamophobic to be like, well, Abdul, Muslim guy. Also Hasan, another Muslim guy. Scary. Scary. Don't you feel like they might have been responsible for this synagogue attack? If you squint at it from far enough, doesn't it feel like they were responsible for this? So I said, yeah. So if you're horrified by the U.S. munitions being used to murder children in Gaza, Mallory McMorrow thinks you're responsible for attacks against synagogues. How is this any different than what MAGA says about us? And it's ironic because the question presented to her quite literally was, don't you feel like your attacks against Hasan Piker and Abdul El-Sayed backfired on you, and it caused your campaign's approval to straightforwardly collapse? I've never seen such a clear-cut example of a campaign. I never thought that I would see such a clear-cut example of a campaign collapsing after trying this panicked attack. And what's so crazy is, like, she's doing a double down here, but she's also, again, wishy-washy on it too. Mallory McMorrow says the song gets dangerously close to anti-Semitism, claiming he's uninformed, and a lot of what he says is really hurtful to her family. No actual quotes or evidence from Hasan was provided with this claim. You know, this is for the Jewish Insider. I don't think that he is. Asked whether she believes Hasan Piker to be anti-Semitic, Mallory McMorrow said no, but added that it almost doesn't matter. Here's the problem. And this is something that I was addressing in that Detroit Public Radio broadcast. If I was a college campus activist and I did not have my platform, if I did not have this platform that is large enough, that is competitive with other media platforms, with mainstream media outlets, she would be able to get away with smearing me like this. If I was a college campus activist, as many college campus activists were smeared in mainstream media, they could just go, yeah, this guy is crazy. Look at what he said. Look at his choice quotes. But because I'm in the media myself, I am a media figure myself, you can arrive at your own conclusions by looking at my background, looking at my history, looking at what I've said on this issue. And it's a really tough hill to climb if your job is to be like, this guy's a dangerous anti-Semite. And then people can actually see what I've done in this space. They can see the hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, I have poured into specifically combating anti-Semitism. It looks ridiculous. And it's extra ridiculous because this is an issue that you are unnecessarily drawing attention to that is 90-10. When your opposition is saying, Israel's doing war crimes, Israel's doing a genocide, we got to stop, we got to hold Israel accountable, we got to stop funding Israel's war crimes, and we should fund, Medicare for all instead. You are unnecessarily drawing attention to your lackluster approach to this issue that is a phenomenal litmus test for a lot of people. She said I was similar to Nick Fuentes and then turned around and said, actually, he's not anti-Semitic. And I get close. It's like Nick Fuentes is a Holocaust denier who openly loves Adolf Hitler. Nick Fuentes is a Holocaust denier or even a Holocaust enjoyer. You can't on the one hand say like, oh, this person is dangerously close to Nick Fuentes, and then turn around and be like, but he's not anti-Semitic. Like, what are you talking about? What am I close to Nick Fuentes on? Like nothing at all. If anything, you're closer to Nick Fuentes if you actually equate Israel with the entire international Jewry. He does it all the time. You're closer to him than I am, fundamentally.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk. His courage on. Together unbroken. We'll make heaven known.